I never thought my life would take this turn. The wedding was meant to be a celebration of love, yet I stood beside a man whose eyes never softened when they looked at me. Adrian, my husband, was known for his coldness, his arrogance, and his refusal to bend before anyone. I was nothing more than a wife forced upon him by circumstance, and he made no effort to hide his disdain. Our wedding night was painfully silent. The golden glow of candles filled the room, but no warmth touched my heart. Adrian removed his watch with precise indifference and said, "Don't expect me to play the part of a loving husband. This marriage is only for appearances." His words pierced deeper than any blade, and I swallowed back tears, nodding in silence. Days turned into weeks. At breakfast, we sat opposite each other, speaking little. He immersed himself in newspapers, leaving me to stir sugar into my untouched tea. I tried to smile, tried to start conversations, but his replies were clipped, dismissive. "You don't need to concern yourself with my affairs," he would say, his tone cutting me off before I could try again. Loneliness became my closest companion. The grand halls of his mansion echoed with silence, and though I was his wife, I felt more like a guest. Nights were worse, for I lay awake beside a man who might as well have been a stranger. Yet even in his coldness, there were cracks I began to notice. One evening, a storm raged outside, and I flinched at the thunder. For a moment, his eyes flicked toward me. He didn't speak, but his hand lingered on the armrest of his chair as though fighting the urge to reach for me. It was fleeting, but it left my heart restless. Another time, when I burned my hand in the kitchen trying to help the maid, Adrian appeared unexpectedly. He frowned, taking my wrist firmly and running cool water over the reddened skin. "You should be more careful," he muttered, his voice low, almost tender. But then, as though realizing he had shown too much, he let go abruptly and walked away, leaving me trembling with confusion. His family was no kinder. Whispers followed me through the corridors, relatives who thought I wasn't worthy of him, who saw me as an inconvenience. I endured their sneers, holding my head high, though inside I was breaking. Still, I refused to let them see my pain. Adrian, however, noticed. At a family dinner, when an aunt mocked my background, I saw his jaw tighten. "That's enough," he said sharply, silencing the room. It was the first time he had defended me. My heart leapt, though he quickly returned to his usual aloofness, refusing to meet my eyes. The turning point came one night when I fell ill. Fever burned through me, and though I tried to hide it, my body grew weak. Adrian found me collapsed near the stairs, my vision blurred. For the first time, panic washed over his features. He carried me to our room, stayed at my bedside, and whispered, almost to himself, "Don't you dare leave me." Through the haze of fever, I felt his hand brushing damp strands of hair from my forehead. His voice was no longer cold, but raw with fear. It was then I realized that beneath his arrogance was a man terrified of losing someone he hadn't even admitted he cared for. Recovery brought changes I couldn't ignore. He began to linger at the table after meals, asking about my day in his gruff way. Sometimes, when he thought I wasn't looking, his gaze softened, filled with emotions he wouldn't yet put into words. Slowly, the distance between us narrowed. One evening, as I prepared to retreat to bed, he stopped me. "Elena," he said, my name rolling from his lips for the first time without disdain. I turned, startled. He hesitated, then added, "You've been stronger than I gave you credit for." His eyes searched mine, vulnerable in a way that unraveled all the walls I had built around my heart. Love didn't bloom overnight. There were still arguments, his pride clashing with my quiet resilience. But in every quarrel, I noticed his effort to reach for me afterward, whether with an awkward apology or the simple gesture of holding my hand. Slowly, my cold, arrogant husband became a man learning to love. The day he finally confessed was under a sky streaked with fading sunlight. We stood in the garden, the air heavy with unspoken words. He took my hands, his usually steady voice trembling. "I tried to push you away. I thought needing someone made me weak. But you've changed everything. Elena, I love you." Tears blurred my vision as I whispered back, "And I love you, Adrian." His arms pulled me close, and for the first time, I felt the warmth of a man who had once been untouchable. My cold, arrogant husband had become my greatest love. It was not a fairy tale marriage, nor was it perfect. But it was real, two broken souls learning to heal together. And in that truth, I found more happiness than I had ever dreamed possible.